Ireland's first Catholic radio station, known as Radio Maria Ireland. It's an Irish organisation staffed by dedicated professional and voluntary staff. It operates as a not-for-profit, non-commercial internet broadcasting. Our mission is to bring Christ to every Irish home.
Gabriella was the one, I think, who really was the person who had the genesis for the idea for Radio Maria in Ireland back in the early days. There was something very, very special about her. You just got that sense she was very, very close to God. There's no question. I'd say she had an incredible prayer life. She knew exactly where she wanted to go. She knew where she wanted Radio Maria, that she wanted Radio Maria in Ireland. She obviously had experienced it herself in Italy, and it had meant an awful lot to her, and from a spiritual perspective. And obviously what it had done for her, she wanted it, for everybody else.
She came to Ireland with a backpack and brought the idea here, and she championed it all the way to its fruition. She had unshakable faith that this was going to happen, no matter what the obstacles, that Our Lady was going to supply everything that was needed.
I've been involved with Radio Maria for more than 20 years. When Father Paul O'Driscoll was a curate in our parish, we both spotted a poster out in the hallway, sent out by Gabriella, who came over from Italy to promote Radio Maria in Ireland. We decided, along with many others, to go for the licence. Unfortunately, we were not successful at that time.
It's around 2012. The governance of Radio Maria changed, and Father Michael Ross was appointed to be spiritual director. This was an important milestone because the project had been floundering for many years because there wasn't a priest to take charge of the project.
Fantastic character, well known around the country to everybody. He's the new director of Radio Maria, which will be starting in Ireland shortly.
He loved being around people. He was very good at networking with people. I think for him, he had two passions. One passion was Our Lady, and the other passion was evangelization. And I think Radio Maria brought both of those passions together for Michael.
I got a phone call here in the house from Father Michael saying he wanted to come down and visit us. He contacted me. He actually was the priest who officiated at Mary's in my wedding. And then he just started talking about the Radio Maria project. He said, look, great, look, if I can help in any way at all, absolutely would be happy to do that. Little knowing what I was getting myself into. It turned out to be a massively challenging project.
It's a bit disconcerting when you're trying to get a new radio station going and you're trying to do all this on the run. I call my car now my mobile office.
Our first port of call was to find a suitable building.
That was probably one of the most difficult parts of the project, just trying to find a suitable location.
We searched online, myself and Mark. We literally looked at over a couple of, I'd say close to 200, that's the truth, just online. And we narrowed it down to about 20 buildings, but none of them seemed to fit what we were looking for.
I remember I was getting quite frustrated that, we seemed to be getting nowhere. I would visit the chapel there on the quays there, Adam and Eve's in Dublin. On Tuesdays I had the relic of St. Anthony is on display. So I remember this particular day, just after Mass, I went to pay my respects to the relic. St. Anthony, you've really got to help us out here. You've got to really help us out. I'm getting fed up here. We need an answer. We need help. So I'm not kidding you. Within about half an hour to 40 minutes after I had made that prayer, I was walking back to my place of work. I get a phone call from Father Michael saying, I think we have it. It's in the business park, St. Anthony's Business Park. And I just said, you got to be kidding, I just couldn't believe when I heard that, because, who calls it an industrial estate after a saint?
This was my family home. I was born and raised here. And that had originally been my mother's altar in her bedroom, and it was still there with all the Our Lady statue, and that's how it kind of originated, if you like.
It was a very open plan building. It was a warehouse, not like what people take for granted here now.
Remember Father Paddy from the prayer group, and he came and he blessed the whole place. the ground, every inch of it.
And he hung miraculous medals on the four corners of the site.
And when we came in through the entrance, there was a miraculous medal hanging down out of the electrical meter box.
And when Father Michael Ross walked in the door, he looked around the place and he said, "Oh my God," he says, "this is an open canvas. This is exactly what we want."
We just sort of said, we kind of figured Our Lady's hand was very, very strongly in all of this. You know, it was one of those kind of remarkable days that you just don't forget. We made contact then with the World Family of Radio Maria. They were thrilled, they were delighted, because, you know, things are starting to move now after so many years. You know, they described it as the longest running Radio Maria project in the world. You know, it went on for about 15, I think it was nearly 18 years by the time we were finished.
So our first big challenge with the project, as I saw it, was that a lot of facets had to knit together seamlessly in the right sequence for this to happen. As we look at the building today, most people will probably not appreciate it. Embedded in the walls of this whole complex is a very complex data cabling system. So people who will come after me and other generations to come will find that this facility is future-proofed for any possible technological changes for the future. In early 2013, we were very specially graced to have Emmanuel Ferrario. He was the founder of Radio Maria in Italy.
And it was fascinating walking around the building with Mr. Ferrario, just an empty shell, and he's kind of looking at this and he's saying, okay, this can be this and this can be, you know, the studios can be here. And he had very, very strong ideas as to how, you know, how he saw the building working. Gabriella,
she was in touch with the people in Italy who started Radio Maria, and they funded all this. Well, they, together with Germany and Austria, 3 countries there, they funded all this beautiful building.
We were always very conscious of the amount of effort and energy that was going in from the World Family side.
We were very blessed to have liaised with all his top-class radio engineers in Italy. The best of Italian equipment was shipped in here on containers. One extraordinary thing that did happen here was that in this general area, we had 7 power outages. I almost became overwhelmed by the whole project. One cold morning here in January, I was sitting in what's now the chapel, was our site office, and I had my head down in my hands and I said, Lord, are we ever going to make this come true? Because it seems so distant, so far away with all the work ahead of us. I do believe that the Blessed Virgin Mary certainly gave us divine assistance to achieve this.
God can do it, and God will do it.
It just all seemed to come together in the last few months. It was amazing. So as we embarked on our project, we had to be realistic about our broadcasting options.
In that, Terry O'Neill was really very, very central, because he with his technical background, he realised things were moving very, very quickly in the broadcasting world, and that maybe we didn't even need to have a broadcasting license, because, as he said, look, we can start broadcasting on internet.
Well, Father Michael Ross launched in 2015. We had a launch evening, and lots of priests and people came for the launch, and it was a celebration, really.
What a marvellous day it was, and the great thing was that we were meeting friends that we hadn't seen in a long time, and it was really a coming together of the Catholic community, of all the Catholic organisations, all the people who were involved in different apostolates. and Father Michael's personality and charisma, that he was able to bring all of them together into one. And everybody knew that this was a real watershed in the Catholic life of Ireland.
It's our first and only Catholic radio station in Ireland. Now, we need your support.
That was an amazing day. When we arrived here, I said, after all this, we're nearly going to make this a reality. You have to face the fact it's not every day of the week you're asked to build a radio station. You know?
And I remember that day, Father Eamon McCarthy was there, Father John McCarthy was there. They both were broadcasting that day in the studios. So all of these connections, you know, when you've put so much time, effort, energy, and then, you know, the thing that's in the back of my head now as well is just the amount of sacrifice that Mary, my wife Mary, and the children here contributed as well.
And I had that lovely moment with Father Michael on the opening day of broadcast when I came to help out and share with them and do a little bit on air, because I was always interested in the idea. And he's saying to me, you know, Eamon, you should be doing this, really. And I said, Michael, I've got a parish, I'm busy, I've got this and this crazy idea. You know, banish the thought from your head, without realizing that divine providence was going to take a major turn.
Radio Maria Ireland, your Catholic radio station, is now operating both via the internet and mobile phone apps. We're deeply grateful to God for getting us to this point. We ask for your prayers so that this project can grow and develop into the future.
But as I say, that's only the start of the story. Then you see, you know, you think, okay, great, and now we're here, and then all of a sudden you realise we've got a huge amount of airtime to fill.
You have to realise, Father, that you're going to have to produce content 24/7, 365 days a year, and there won't be much time for prayer and reflection. And he was looking at me, and Father Michael he was from Cork, he had a great charm and wit about him. He said, don't worry about anything. He says, Our Lady will take care of everything. And that was his motto. He had unshakable faith that no matter what happened, Our Lady would take care of the project.
You know, we both had sort of good contacts in terms of various prayer groups, various prayer teams and that kind of thing. And because of that, we have Don Devaney with us now.
He said, Don, I want you to do a Divine Mercy program. And I said to him, what am I going to talk about? And he said, talk about Divine Mercy. I said, how about we say the chaplet? And he said, that's a good idea to start with. But a strange thing happened then. We started praying for intentions. People started saying, will you pray for my cancer or for my lung condition or my heart condition? And all of a sudden, the listeners started structuring the program.
Many years ago, I think it was 1989 probably, a friend of mine came and said, Mary, would you not start a prayer group in your house? So I decided, prayed a little about it and decided to do it. So then when Radio Maria came on the air, we decided, well, we'll do it in Radio Maria.
And then I wanted to expand the coverage. So after a period of time, I got the idea of contacting RTE to go on the Fairview channel. And I anticipated a lot of difficulty, but in fact we were welcomed and we were on the air within a very short time of making contact, and we're still on Channel 210 on Fairview. It doesn't matter, it's 1 or 100,000 persons listening, the station is there. We know that there are people taking comfort from Radio Maria.
Unfortunately, we lost Father Michael in 2016. Quite suddenly, really, and he was a great promoter of Radio Maria, a great promoter of Our Lady.
I missed him so much. His humour, his personality, his vivaciousness. I just missed having him round and missed the life and joy that he brought everywhere he went.
It was a great shock to me whenever I learned that Michael was sick. He was the type of person you would never expect to be sick because he was so much full of energy. And from my understanding of it, the first time that he became aware truly aware of how sick he was after the Divine Mercy Conference. But Michael was at that conference in February of 2016, and he wasn't well at all during that conference, but he kept going.
How do we work towards the fulfillment of God's plan in my life? Renero Cantalamessa OFM CAP provides part of the answer. And this is what he says. There is a balm in the church which heals crushed souls and wounded hearts, and that melts hearts of stone. Come, buy without cost. Take this oil which comes to you through the word, through the sacraments and prayer. All these play a key role on our journey, our pilgrimage of life, as we travel to the Father's house. Do you want to be on the winning team?
I remember Father Michael, when he was here, he was very welcoming, and he had a wonderful personality, and yet a very spiritual life, and it was very impressive, you know.
Even in the hospital, Michael continued to minister. In his own vulnerability, he was able to speak to the hearts of people who came to visit him. You know, I was very impressed with the way he handled his illness, I have to say.
We went to see him in the hospital when he was dying. I didn't think he was dying because he was able to chat away, you know.
He was a man of amazing vitality, and he gave himself so much to everybody.
I was in to see him in the hospital a few days, a week before he died, and he was discussing something with somebody, and he was how he had grand. He's a bit busy here now at the moment, and this was sort of maybe a week or so before he died. And I laughed to myself. I said, God, he's an amazing character, you know.
It was a big sort of shock to us, you know, that he went so quickly. It was also a big shock to us that Gabriella went so quickly after that as well. You know, I'd say it was in a matter of sort of 4 months, 6 months, something like that.
I remember on the 13th of May, our opening pilot broadcast, I was asking Gabriella Escarano to help me with an email to get a reply to quickly and promptly to a technical question. She says it's very unusual for somebody who's been a founding member to live to see the fruits of Radio Maria. She kind of was prophetic about what she said. She didn't live to see the fruits of Radio Maria. The amazing fruits are there to be seen.
I think the future of Radio Maria is very bright, the way the station has been growing for the past few years as well, and thankfully it's growing at a steady pace, because it takes a while to just get to the next level and for the station to keep growing.
It's a great gift to Ireland at this particular time.
We are called to special responsibility, because when the need will come, and it will come in our lifetime, the need will come. They will be looking for somebody, but where do we find out about our faith? They won't know anything about the Catholic Catechism, they won't know anything about the Scriptures, they won't know anything. So the man who knows a little is a blessing. So don't say, oh, I don't know, I can't help you, I don't know about that. Don't say that. Come in here and we'll work through it together. Invite them in. That's your chance to evangelize. They're going to be inviting you to come into their lives. Please be open-hearted, be generous, give. That's what Our Lady did. She's asking you to do the same thing.
We've worked to get it here for many years, and thank God it's here now.
The thing I like the most about Radio Maria Ireland is the unification of Ireland with Radio Maria. It's wonderful to unite all of our people in God's love and mercy.
We're faced with incredible challenges, as everybody knows, and yet in the middle of all that, there can be no doubt that this is Our Lady's instrument. So there's great hope for the future.
birds fly, and the dreams that you dream of, dreams really do come true.